So much more than basketball, so much more than sports. Let me get the nice stuff out the way. Condolences to the Bryant family. The tragic death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, 13 years old, Gianna, and the 7 other folks that perished, children as well on board, and their families. It's interesting from my vantage point what moves us as human beings, as a society, as one that comes on this platform, be it social media, consistently speaking about time and the lack of it, using that hourglass emoji, personally, more than most. The good stuff, man. That brother, man, shout out to that little skinny high school graduate coming out and rocking the NBA, instantly being compared to Michael Jordan, even though a couple that preceded him had come straight from the NBA, from high school. Nobody like little brother Kobe Bryant, that little number 8. That little number 8 that started developing not only his game, but started growing, because remember, he had come out of high school. That game developed along with that little afro. That brother that would go fearlessly in the hole. That brother that would entertain us. Shout out to the money that Kobe has won me and you, and to the money that he's lost you and I. Shout out to that number 8 developing into manhood. A brother with hella charisma, sharp looking brother, bilingual plus fluent in Italian and the King's English, plus others. I don't want to be misquoted. Shout out to that brother that transitioned into manhood and put on that number 2 form, became the Black Mamba, an assassin on the court. Not only had the ability, Jordan-like ability, but the jumper would beat Jordan across the head every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Shout out to those of us, man, that engaged in defending his brother, man. Oh, he's soft, he's selfish, he's this, he's that. Barbershop, locker rooms, bars, pool halls, houses, personal homes. Shout out for the memories, man. But he was just getting started with his 5 championship rings and the accolades, MVPs, and the Olympic goals, and the list goes on and on. He was just getting started. How do I know? Shout out to my son Amon. I got this for him, the Wizard series, created by Brother Kobe. Just getting started, so much more than basketball, so much more than sports. Shout out to the athletes who understand that until we own more teams, until we create a competitive league in all of your major sports, baseball, basketball, football, hell, even hockey, soccer, the list goes on and on. We gut what we have from the inside out. Shout out to Brother Puffy and his address day before yesterday, that aired yesterday, at the Grammys. Telling the Grammys to their face, you ain't never respected us. Someone be like, well, what does that mean? You know, it means something. Shit that ain't never been done before. Platforms that have never been utilized before to their full potential. You got some folks that criticize the things he said. To me, I don't get that, but to each his own. I've watched Puffy over the past several years put in some very good work. I didn't come out the gate being a Puffy fan because either you roll with Death Row or you roll with Bad Boys. I was Death Row all day long during the time that the South was rising. Shout out to them boys from the DF. This is in our younger years, so we fell victim to silliness like every young folk does. But in the past several years, I've watched Puffy use his platform, revolt, pun intended. And you got some of us that criticize that sports has allowed a number of us especially to use it as a springboard to further help our communities. Now, are there disparities? Hell yeah. Is there inequities? Hell yeah. Do we need to create competitive leagues? Absolutely. But I never condemn sports to hell because look at your timeline this morning. Look at your timeline yesterday. Watch your timeline throughout this week. Filled with a brother who was just starting to exploit all of his talents. Documentary, I believe the brother won an Emmy for, if I'm not mistaken. Separate from, of course, this book I'm holding. Just getting started. So, there's so much to say. So much to say. But it pisses me off to see how it takes the death of Kobe Bryant for some of you Negroes and other folks to get it. You got folks that have been slain. You have slain individuals in your family. You have folks that have died tragically in your family. You got friends. And it didn't move you the way Brother Bryant did. Now, don't get me twisted. Brother Bryant is a giant in our community, and giants deserve to be celebrated. But what are you doing to fill the void? See, for me, personally, it didn't take the tragic death of Kobe and his daughter and those others for me to know I need to get off my ass and do more for folks other than just my bloodline. Hell, do more for folks in my bloodline, not to mention those in the extension of it. See, it's funny. Many of you ain't gone through shit. You think you have. And I said many, not all. You think you have. What's that old saying I love to use by HBO? You think you know, but you truly have no idea. I added the truly. Some of you want to be so judgmental of others, when if we peeled back the layers called your life, you ain't done a mustard seed worth of work compared to those you throwing stones at. Smoke that over. Hypocritical, negative Nancy's that ain't been through shit. But you get rocked and you get moved when a tragedy happens. Death and holidays. It's our biggest forms of unity. Some of you feel it's okay when you go and sprinkle a little money out to help the poor. You've done your good deed for the year. You've done your good deed. You've done your semi-annual good deed, or you've done your quarterly good deed when you go and sprinkle some money. That's great. But I got too many people of the cloth that I roll with. And somewhere I remember, there's this saying that, the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. I can't stand that shit. Because somewhere in one of these discussions, in one of these good books, I believe it says, it's easier for the camel to travel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. Just because I don't go around quoting scripture don't mean I don't know it. Just because I challenge scripture don't mean I don't know it. Did you just hear that boy say he challenges scripture? Listen, man. Life is too short. Those of you that are listening to me right now, my wife said, shout out to Nakia, man. She said something powerful yesterday. Every single day, we are writing our obituary. Smoke that over. What's in yours, homie? What's in yours, sister? Who will remember your name? I've said before, a wise man once said, you die twice. You die the day that this physical is no longer alive, and you die the day that the last person who knew you or knew who you were speaks your name.